say Dell.
Mm-hmm.
I have that confidence in Dell. So again, I don't know if it's the blue.
Well, it's because you have a daughter-in-law that works for Dell.
But again, the electronics industry. I mean, it's very high end, very silvery, very black, very gold, things like that. Okay, but look what Apple did. They came in with an Apple logo. You recognize that whether it's colored or not.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
That is true.
And
that is
red,
true.
and it is just a graphic, so you don't have to have words. Burt's Bees, for example, they're all natural things. You would think that would be green like all of the nutritional, good for you, no GMO stuff. All right, but guess what Burt's Bees did? They went with a honeycomb yellow. It was opposite of what all their competitors were doing, and they stand out.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know that's what I think of when the beeswax. I kind of go with the color of the bee. So when I think of them, I think of bees. Is that interesting? So maybe they went along with the color of the black and the yellow with the bees, too.
Okay.
So always interesting when you talk about things like this that we don't really think about. Very often, we just do it.
Yeah. You know me, getting dressed in the morning, I grab the closest, cleanest thing that's been ironed.
And Richard, a lot of you do that. A lot of people do that, and that's why when you have a personal color analysis done, you coordinate the items that are in your closet, so you can match any top with any bottom. Ask my husband; he can go in there, any top, any bottom, and it will coordinate. I don't have to worry about what he's putting on. Does it match? So you coordinate that wardrobe so you have the things that don't look good on you, have been donated to your favorite charity, and they're not taking up space in your closet.
So you're trying to tell me I need to go get a new wardrobe?
No, I'm just telling you how simple it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of going into overwhelm.
He teases me when I get on that kick of doing my spring or my fall cleaning, and I go into the closets. I put all the colors together for him, and this is just so silly. This isn't going to stay this way. I says, well, it should. But again, so that he goes in there. He loves his blues. He loves, he has a couple shirts that I think everything you have has blue or green in it. I don't know if that's good or not, but I mean, I'm thinking about almost everything you have.
Most everything I do has blue in it or something like that.
Yeah. So interesting. Just I find it fascinating to think about color this way because, again, I don't know if I ever really thought about walking into a business and looking at the color and wondering what type of emotion I should be having. But I do know that it actually happens.
Yes, it does.
Because there are some places I won't go back to.
Yep. You don't feel good.
Yeah.
You just don't feel good. And for whatever reason, that's their corporate color.
So is that the psychology of colors then?
If they didn't, if they did it on purpose, shame on them.
Whoops.
If they did it by accident, oh well, they need a consultation. But the thing is are they reaching their audience? Mm-hmm. You go into a UPS office, okay? Guess what? What's brown do for you? Those brown and gold, okay? Brown is kind of everybody. They're down to earth, and the gold is a little bit of luxury. I mean, a little bit of I'm there for everybody. A little bit of, but I'm a little upper class. I'm a little bit better being gold versus yellow.
Yeah, think of FedEx then. They're blue and orange, right? FedEx?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So what's the difference between them and UPS?
Again.
Interesting.
Them and UPS, your FedEx, again, your blue is trustworthy. There's integrity there. Mm-hmm. And your red-orange is, they're inspiring you to take some action. They want to catch your eye, but they want you to take some action. They want you to get excited with them.
That is fascinating. I don't know.
I love it. Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about the brand message, about, your brand you message, have you ever thought about the way the color flows with that?
Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But
you will now.
I will now.
Okay. But again, when Richard teaches about branding, he gets down to the messaging part. He wants to get down to the messaging. So once they find their target audience, now you can start reaching out to the color of what that pretty little logo or logo font is going to be. All right. When you look at color tools, when I started 30 years ago, it was geared mainly towards the Mary Kay, the pink ladies, the women. Mm-hmm. But as my studies have evolved and the courses I've taken, we have gone into business branding, graphics, and things like that. Now, I don't profess to be a graphic designer at all, but I do know what colors that I want. Okay?
And you're very good at that when you lay things out, like on your website or on your flyers and such. Because I would say that, I mean, I'm the first one to say I am not a graphic designer either. I love more on the words. I'm more of a wordsmith, where I'm and a writer. And we were discussing this the other day. We were actually doing a layout on a flyer, and I was just stumped. And I know it was our PowerPoint slide where I was changing, and I was just and he kept saying that color doesn't look there. It's just going to stay there, But it didn't appeal to him. I'm thinking it's obviously bothering him, so we better change that color. Because I giggle about that because I'm thinking about what we're discussing now. I have to start thinking more. Align when I'm putting not only the layout of something, but the color as well. And what would you say is that you said in a logo, no more than 3 colors?
3.
So what about on a flyer or on a website or?
Again, on your printed materials, the easiest thing to read is black print on a white background.
Okay.
All right.
I agree.
You can use colors as bold, as highlight, as a headline. That would be fine. But don't clutter it up with a lot of other colors because your message is going to get lost. Your brain isn't going to know what to focus on first.
How about adding different color font to stand out within maybe on a landing page or something? I see that. Have you seen those long landing pages? They have the big bold red letters, and they'll go down and maybe have, some different colors, maybe something in gold.
They should be pretty consistent. If they're doing a long landing page, they should be pretty consistent with their message. Okay, on our Women's Prosperity Network emails. I mean, register now, register and register now. I mean, it may tell you 3 times in that email, but it's always the same color. So you can, your eye can look at it and you know what it says.
Okay. So don't change those colors up then. That's very good to know.
Very interesting.
That is, I find that very interesting. So does this color, Richard, a lesson? I'm going to call it a color lesson.
Absolutely. So, no,
what is it? What does it say to you about Charli was very kind when she was describing our logo, but what did you decide to do with our logo to make it even pop better?
We took the basic rounded square and we made it look like a computer key, so that your computer key, if you look at it really close, you can see a little bevel in the top, and where it kind of washes down the side. So it looks like a keyboard key.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we changed that up when we decided to be more focused on our social media messaging and everything, because we felt everybody's at the keyboard.
Right.
And I know we had asked one of our graphic designers to change it. He loved our logo. He said there's no reason to change it. So we had to find another designer to do it, to work with us, because we knew what our vision was. We weren't going to change the colors or anything like that. We were just going to add a little rainbow effect on the line underneath our WCN. And this other designer was able to capture it perfect. And I will say the previous designer, when he saw it, he was impressed. But we obviously were not able to communicate what we were looking for to him. But he was very impressed with what the end result was. Yeah. Because it does make a statement, as well as the colors, because we weren't going to ever change those colors. We love them.
And that's another key thing, is you have to be consistent. Not, Richard, consistent with your message.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Your brand traverses you, what you do, your materials, your website. It's everything, but you have to, and on your social media, and you teach this, that you have to be consistent through all of your media, all of your presses, all of your releases.
No, absolutely. Once you establish that message, your brand message, it's got to be absolutely consistent across all platforms. Now, like we were saying earlier, you can have a long version, a short version, a 3-word version, or whatever it is, but the message cannot change.
Exactly.
Well, that's a good question then, because I know there have been instances in larger companies and smaller companies. Like I said, we made a transition in our business, and we took our existing logo from our web development company into our social media company, and we kept the same colors, but we wanted to make it a little change. But there have been some instances where large companies have changed up their look and feel.
Oh, yes.
What does that do?
Oh, yes.
To their? Yeah, I'm interested what your take on that is.
If the bottom line, if it's staying with the integrity and the message and the the atmosphere of the company, then it's not too bad. But let me give you an example of somebody who bucked the system. Okay, Heinz ketchup. Everybody knows what color ketchup is, right?
Yep.
In 2000, they came out with a ketchup that was green.
I remember that.
And it was in the Easy Squirt bottles for the kids. Oh, that was so cool. That was the highest grossing dollar change in an existing brand in history at that time. Right? They made $23 million on just that green ketchup. Okay? But guess it didn't last very long. Right? Everybody liked it, and moms loved it because everybody knew the green and the red, the ketchup and mustard, okay? But maybe it's just because when you put green ketchup on red ketchup, it all looks like mud. It didn't last very long.
It doesn't appeal to me at all.
It didn't last very long. It didn't last very long. Companies do it all the time. Coke One or Zero Coke, Zero One. All right, it was a flop. I mean. So you can try to increase your brand, increase your offering, increase your product line. But if you're not consistent with that true blue classic Coke, it's not going to work.
Well, didn't Starbucks do some switching on a logo a few years ago?
I think it was the Christmas colors, or it could be. Yeah,
there was something that they had flopped. They tried to do that too. So what I'm hearing, you've used the word quite a bit today, consistency, but also you want to build that confidence to and be appealing to those that you want to attract. So yes, things are always changing, but we have to be very conscious of what that change might do for our audience. We may lose them.
Yeah, I mean, first thing you got to do with going back to what you talked about, all these companies that have done big changes, the executives got bored. Their marketing department got them bored and thinking a change needed to occur. But what was happening, they were all in the C-suite area, and nobody was talking to the person shoveling out their card at the purchase end of what was happening.
They weren't talking to the consumer either.
That's right.
That's where I'm going.
Right.
Yes.
Wasn't doing the market research. In other words, they thought it was time for a change because we do get bored with things. And I myself feel that way sometimes. I try to change up my messaging. But you know what? If you switch it so fast and you're doing it for yourself, you're not thinking about your audience or your consumer, it can backfire fast.
Millennials, you have to also consider age, generation, what your target market is, okay? And now we're seeing the millennials come really into some significant buying power, and they like bright colors because they like things that go fast.
Yes.
They want to see it fast. They want to see it. Exactly. So, but if you, again, we talk about color, combining colors, too much blue and yellow and everything. Best Buy pulled it off, but in most cases it reminds you of kids, the toddlers, the Fisher-Price toys.
What are some colors you should not mix together?
I would have to say it would be industry specific. I mean, I couldn't tell you definitely no for anything. You want something that's eye-catching. People do business cards, black with white print, or a dark or a print background with white writing on it. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. Black print, white background, or light background. Too many times people take pictures, or they've got scanning software. I use CardCam, and that white print on a background doesn't scan very well. It's the business card is useless to me.
That's very interesting. Yeah, but no, you're absolutely right. I see things. Sometimes I'm thinking, what were they thinking?
Really? You look at that and you come up with these things and, don't know where they found them. Must be somewhere else around the world where it's acceptable. But, some of them go really weird on putting that together. Now, we could go really weird if we were really trying to be dominant and break some ground. I could understand that. You're trying to push into a new area of your business. On that, I could see that because you want the controversy, the mental confusion, because you're trying to set the tone of how you're trying to put it all together. But for the most part, nah.
If you're expanding a product line, again, you may have a different icon or something for that product line, but you will still have keep your colors the same, at least in the initial stages. Office Depot and Office Max, they combined, but